Every single decision that you've made across the last X amount of years of your life has led you to this exact very moment right here, sitting with me watching this video. That's all your life is, just a series of decisions. And the quality of your decisions determines the quality of life that you live. So this is foundational. Like, this is what it actually starts off with. If you're in a situation that you don't like, if you're in a relationship that you don't like, if you're in a job that you don't like, this just a position in general, this is all down to decisions that you've made. So if you're in a situation right now where you're fat, you're overweight, there's a few things that you need to do. Eat less, work out more. Decisions. Now, if you're in a situation where you're skinny and you want to gain weight, my friends, eat more, work out more. Very simple, eat in a caloric surplus rather than a caloric deficit. If you're in a situation, a financial situation that you don't like either, it's simple. Find a way to make more money. Now, okay, I say simple, but it's not necessarily easy, which is why sometimes decision making is difficult. And how do you make better quality decisions, right? Because of course, if your life is a culmination of all the decisions that you make, how do you make better quality ones? Well, number one, you ask the person who even gave you that decision-making capacity in the first place, and that's God. So ask God, whenever you have a decision that you're coming across, like, okay, I either do this, or I do this, or I do this, or I do this. You say, look, I don't even know. Sometimes it feels like a lucky dip. Can I get an amen? It feels like a lucky, I don't know. It's a Sunday, so I feel like I'm in church right now. But sometimes it feels like a lucky dip, like, A, B, C, or D. Let's go for D. Yeah, let's try out D. No, like, ask the person who knows. Ask God. Ask God about what decision that you should make. Say, God, like, what decision should I actually make? Make it clear to me what actually makes the most sense for me. Another thing as well that you can do is write down the decisions that you have to make, or the options that you have. And sometimes what I'll do is I'll actually write down like a negative and a positive chart, or like the for and against, and that makes things extremely clear. And it kind of like just jumps out of the page, like, oh, duh, like, just do this. Because sometimes when it comes to making decisions, our emotions get into our decision making so much, when it can all be so simple. Who sang that song? It can all be so simple. Oh, who was that? But you rather make it hard. Lauryn Hill. There we go. That was Lauryn Hill. Where was that? Yes, sometimes emotions get into the decision-making process, which makes it difficult to make a clear-cut decision, because your emotions are fogging up your brain. They're saying, oh, do this, do this. I feel like we should do this because of X reason. I feel like we should do that because of Y reason. And yes, emotions are a normal part of the human experience. And guys, I'm a human. Let me just remind you that. I am a human. I do experience these things. But then when you write something down on paper, it helps you to get into your logical brain rather than your emotional. And you're able to separate your logic from your emotions, because our emotions tend to lead us down the wrong path a lot of the time because of how we feel. Oh, I just felt like it. I just felt like doing that. In the Bible, it says the heart is deceitful and above all cure. Who can understand it? Not you, and definitely not me. It's only him. It's only God. So that's the person that you ask, of course, when it comes down to making decisions, like, what should I do? And when it comes to making high quality decisions, that usually comes from a place of having wisdom. And this is the thing, if you think about many CEOs and high level entrepreneurs, like, they usually come across as pretty wise because of all of the failures that they've had and all of the successes that they've had, off of the decisions that they've made. People like Myron Golden, Alex Hormozy, Sam Ovens, right? All of these different types of people, all these types of people that you see on the internet that come across as very wise because of everything that they've experienced. And even I remember meeting the CEO of IBM, right? IBM, very, very big company. If you know it, you know it. If you don't, you don't. But I was speaking there one time, it must have been a couple of years ago. I was speaking at their office, their headquarters in London. And I can't remember what I was talking about. But I remember the CEO was there, like the CEO of Microsoft. No, not Microsoft, what am I talking about? The CEO of IBM. He was there, and I remember when he walked in the room, smooth brother, like, everyone just kind of like got a little bit quieter. And somebody whispered to me, oh, you know, that's the CEO of IBM. And I was like, really? And I was like, well, I got to talk to this man. And let me tell you something. When I went up to this man and I shook his hand, strong handshake, straight stare into my eyes, just talking to me straight, like, and he was just all there. He was fully present, right? And whenever I can't remember exactly what I spoke to him about, but I remember he just came across as extremely wise. Like, this is somebody that I'm gonna ask. This is someone that I will ask about X, Y, Z, whatever it is that comes up. I'm like, this seems like a capable man. he seems pretty wise because of all the decisions that he's had to make. So having people like that, not necessarily the CEO of IBM or Microsoft or whatever, but having people that have had to make a load of decisions in the past and have ended up in a place where you would like to be, or not even necessarily like to be, but you respect, and you're like, okay, cool, you've got to a certain level. So I mean, you must have made some pretty good decisions to be able to be here, right? But that's the case in some cases. And obviously not every case, everyone's made the best decisions to be where they are, but anywho, he's got to that position somehow, right? And there are people in your life, there will be people in your life, or even people that you may be able to get access to or have a connection with, that you can actually glean some wisdom from. So you can come to them when you have to make bigger decisions and say, look, what would you do in this situation? Like, what is your advice here? And even in the Bible, it talks about how there is wisdom in a multitude of counsel, right? A multitude of wise counsel. Build yourself a board of advisors. I have my own board of advisors. I feel like some of them don't even know they're on a board of advisors, but I have my own board of advisors, people that I go to in certain situations. Like if you're going to go to, even in the Bible, it says this as well, if you're going to go to war, you need to speak with wise people first before you go and do that. The way I think about it is, if you're going to be making an important decision, then prepare accordingly. For example, if you're deciding who to marry, prepare accordingly. Seek wise counsel, get counseling, get help, maybe even get therapy. Right? Speak to the right people, introduce your potential wife to the right people, right? So that they can potentially see what you can't. If you're deciding whether to move to a different country or not, speak to wise counsel. Speak to people that are in a position that you would like to be in. Like, okay, I mean, I'm thinking about this is what I've got going on as well. Mentors, look for mentors. You know, people that you respect, people that you admire, that you like the position that they've got themselves to or in. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a position of quote unquote, you know, entrepreneurial success. It could be someone who's built an extremely like a loving family, right? And is living an amazing life with that family. Yes, everybody goes through their own problems, but they're doing something that you would like to do at a point. So when it comes to situations like that, you ask them about, okay, how did you guys navigate this? You see your auntie and uncle with a beautiful marriage. You say, oh, let me speak to them about this, about how you actually work on communication with your partner, how you become closer and not lose love over years of being in a relationship with them. And if you want to get into shape, for example, like look at the friend that is in good shape or decent shape and look at him and say, look, I mean, what did you do? Like, how did you even get here? Like, how did you get to this point? And glean some wisdom from him. Another thing you could do is just pay for the privilege, right? If you don't have a seat at the table, or if you're not offered a seat at the table, pay for one. So you can go and pay a coach to be able to coach you in the areas in which you need help in. And I've done that multiple times. And some coaching programs have paid off more than others, but ultimately speaking, I've always got something from them. I've always got something from them. And it's that investing into yourself, because you are like, I call it the S&P 500, because you know they have the S&P 500, which is the stock chart, the stock rather, that is like the top 500 companies in America or whatever, and it tracks their growth and it kind of goes up by 10% every year. I call this the SME 500. So you're going to get much more than a 10% return on whatever that you invest into yourself. Okay. So all of this, like helping you to, you know, like having the wise counsel around you, investing into coaches, investing into mentors, investing into a group, like a board of advisors, for example, investing into your relationship with God. That's the S&P 500. That's the stock that you should be investing in yourself and in your growth, because guess what? You cannot give from an empty cup. And you know what they say when you're on a plane, right? In the event of a crash, put on your mask on first so that you're able to help the other people that are around you. It's the same thing here. Put your mask on. Put your mask on. And the mask in this case is your decision making higher quality decisions. There is also this thing called decision fatigue, right? You only have a certain amount of decision making power or decision making energy in your day. And sometimes when you go throughout your day, that decision-making energy is taken up by really small tasks, like deciding what to wear, deciding what food to eat, deciding if you should do something in this order, something in that order, right? If you should brush your teeth before you get in the shower, brush your teeth after you get out of the shower, whatever it is, what I should have for breakfast, whatever it is, right? If I should drive this way or that way. Those are decisions, right? And every single decision that you make, it increases your decision-making fatigue, meaning that you're getting more tired from making more and more decisions, meaning that you make lower quality decisions later on into the day. And even if you think about our testosterone levels as men, we have the highest testosterone level, the peak of our testosterone level is in the morning as well. So now we have that high testosterone levels in the morning, and we have decision-making fatigue. What does this point to? This points to why don't we make the most important decisions earlier on in the day? Why don't we lock in earlier on in the day and start to work on ourselves, start to work on our relationship with God? Because that's an extremely important decision. And if you're doing that at the beginning part of your day, then that will help the rest of your day to absolutely soar and go the right way. Rhymed again, didn't even mean to. And then later on in the day, then you can of course afford to make, less high quality decisions. But I say that to say, work to your own advantages when it comes to decision making, right? Make decisions when you're the most alert. And here's another thing as well. Remember to halt, HALT, before you make a decision. So never make a decision when you are hungry, H, angry, A, lonely, L, or tired, T, because you're not in that correct state to make the decision in the first place. You're distracted. If you're hungry, you're thinking about food. If you're angry, you're thinking about what angered you. If you're lonely, you're thinking about not being lonely. If you're tired, you're thinking about sleep. But then when you need to make an important decision, don't be in any of those states, because that's going to affect your decision-making quality. And of course, as I said before, your quality of decisions will determine your quality of life. If you want to have an extremely high quality life, improve your decision-making skills. See you next week. Bye for now.